as example. Yes, the Prophet ﷺ is dead, but we have his sunnah, and we have his life, and we have his teachings, but we don't learn, and we don't strive, and we don't try, and that is the problem. Look at one of the students of Muhammad ﷺ. فقال له ما جاء بكم قال الله ابتعثنا لنخرج العباد من عبادة العباد إلى عبادة رب العباد ومن ضيق الدنيا إلى سعتها ومن جور الأديان إلى عدل الإسلام فأرسلنا بدينه إلى خلقه لندعوهم إليه فمن قبل منا ذلك قبلنا ذلك منه ورجعنا عنه وتركناه وأرضه يليها دوننا ومن أبى ذلك قاتلناه أبدا حتى نفضي إلى موعود الله. He said, we are people whom Allah has chosen to bring the people out of worshipping other people to worshipping the Lord of the people, and to bring people out of the darknesses of religions to the light of Islam, and from the injustices of religions to the justice of Islam. So He sent us with His religion to His people and to His creation to invite them to this deen. So whoever obeys us and whoever takes from us, then we will leave him alone and we will not harm him. And whoever rejects us, then we will fight him until we reach the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فقال رستم وما موعود الله. What is the promise of Allah? قال الجنة لمن مات على قتال من أبى والظفر لمن بقى. He said, either paradise for those who are martyred and those who die fighting for the sake of Allah, or victory for those who stay alive. فقال رستم لرؤساء أهل فارس ما ترون هل رأيتم كلاما قط أوضح ولا أعز من كلام هذا الرجل. So Rustum looks at his advisors and look at his people and he said, what would you say? Have you seen or have you heard clearer words and more honorable words than the words of this man? فقالوا معاذ الله لك أن تميل إلى شيء من هذا وتدع دينك لهذا الكل. They said, we seek refuge in Allah that you will listen to what this poor man is saying and abandon the religion of yours and your fathers. أما ترى إلى ثيابه. Don't you see his clothes? Look at the difference. People talking about Allah and people talking about clothes. What can they say? Trying to oppose His words, trying to discredit His words. Nothing. So they end up looking at the superficial. Don't you look at his clothes? Don't you see his horse? You don't see what he's wearing? That is what these are the elite, and those are the advisors, and those are the top-notch people in the society. قال ويحكم. Look at Rustum. Rustum is a wise man. قال ويحكم لا تنظروا إلى الثياب ولكن انظروا إلى الرأي والكلام والسيرة. He said, don't look at his clothes. والحكمة ضالة المؤمن. Hikmah is the lost property of the believer. إنما وجدها فهو حق الناس بها. Wherever he finds it, he is most worthy of it. He said, Rustum, don't look at his clothes, but look at his wiseness and look at his words and look look at his opinion. That is what you should. وأقبلوا يسخرون من سلاحه ومن ملابسه ومن هيئته فأبى الفرس دعوة الحق واختاروا المنازلة فنصر الله المسلمين وهزموا فارس وسبوهم. So they refused. They refused to follow the message of Islam, and they insisted that they're gonna fight. And during that war, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave victory to the Muslims, and Rustum was killed, and the Persian Empire collapsed, and Yazdajir, the emperor of Persia, ran away. And you remember the house or the palace of Yazdajir and the Persian kings. You guys know what it used to be called? That used to be called the White House. So Yazdajir, Malik al-Furs, sends a message to Malik al-Sin. He sends a message to the king of China to ask him for help. That is the man who was talking a few days ago, telling the Muslims that we will send you Rustum to bury you alive in Khanadiq al-Qadisiyya, in the trenches of al-Qadisiyya. He sends a message to the king of China asking him for help, and he explains to him the whole situation. فيقول ملك الصين إنه يمكنني أن أبعث لك جيشا أوله في منابت الزيتون وآخره في الصين. The king of China tells him, I can send you an army that the beginning of it في منابت الزيتون. منابت الزيتون يعني الشام, يعني in your land, in the, what they call today the Middle East, right there in Syria and Palestine and that area. We can send you, he said, the Chinese king, he said, I send you an army, starts there and ends in China. That's how big the army is. Starts there at you and ends in China. But listen to this. But this Chinese king is smart. ولكن إن كان هؤلاء القوم كما تقول فإنه لا يقوم لهم أهل الأرض. He said, however, I can send you this army. However, if they are the way you're describing about the Muslims, if they are the way you're describing, then if I send you all the people on earth, they cannot defeat them. They cannot defeat them. With this iman, with this aqidah, with this himma, you can't defeat those people. That's why they were not defeatable, and no one was able to defeat them. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them victory. And that's why the Messenger ﷺ used to say, one of the things that he was given, no other prophet was given, وَنُصِرْتُ بِالرُّعْبِ مَسِيرَةَ شَهْرٍ. He ﷺ would be given victory, and the people that he's heading toward to invite to Islam or to fight, they will be defeated a month before he reaches them. When they hear that he's coming toward them, they will submit. That is the izzah of Islam, and that is the honor of Islam, and that is when you stick to the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you adopt Allah to be a way of your life. Then he said, the king of China, فَأَرَى لَكَ أَن تُصَالِحَهُمْ وَتَعِيشَ فِي ظِلِّهِمْ وَظِلِّ عَدْلِهِمْ. Now he's telling him what to do. He said, I see and I think it's better for you to do peace with them and to live under their shade and under their protection and under the shade of their justice. Because he knows that people whose goal is La ilaha illallah, they will fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the way they treat others. So what we learn from this is the following. You stick to the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you live the deen of Islam, and you follow the words of Allah and the guidance of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, you will be honored. You will be honored. And this deen is returning, and this deen is waking up, and this deen is coming back. And the scene when you see those 3 million people waiting in Arafah, it's a scene that scares the enemy. When you see those people walking together, throwing together, sleeping together, praying together in one place, you understand the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how He humiliated everyone. Wallah, you look at the people dressed in the same clothes, 2 pieces of garment, 2 pieces of fabric, 3 million people, the rich and the poor, the king and the slave, the man and the woman, the old and the young. They all submitted to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without any choice. Without a choice. Then you appreciate Al-Aziz, and you appreciate Al-Jabbar, and He who has humiliated His servants to Him will humiliate his enemy.